Good morning, this is John from Clock Repairs Merseyside. What I said I'd do in the last video is that I was going to try and video some of the more interesting restoration jobs we get in. So I think this is quite a good restoration. So this is video number 1 of this. I'm going to try and go through most of the process of this clock when I can. Now we've been given this clock was actually featured on the Antique Roadshow in about 2006 and it was valued then. Unfortunately the clock was knocked over and so it sustained quite a lot of damage. As you can see from the case, it is a very nice clock and it was built about 1850s, 1860s I think. Unfortunately, it has obviously a glass door which I've actually taped into place at the moment to stop it coming away, but it had a piece of glass in that. Now, to be honest with you, the glass is pretty much intact, although quite chipped in areas, and to be honest with you, it's quite a heavy piece of glass. It's old, it's 7mm. So what I've actually done is, because obviously for health and safety now, I've been to my glazer and he's going to do a piece of safety glass for us, which we're going to fit in there instead of the original piece of glass. Hopefully it'll be heavy enough and the door will be substantial, but if it's not, we'll work something out. If you go down to the case, I mean the case is not in bad shape. There's a few marks here and there, but obviously with clock cases, the only thing you can do really is you do things sympathetically. You don't want to start going too far because you'll make them look too new in parts, and everything on clock restoration for us is about getting it sympathetic and it to look right. If you look in the bottom of the case here, you can see there's quite a bit of fretwork, which is, I mean, at one point that was actually just underneath the dial in this sort of position, if you can imagine. That's all in pieces. There are pieces missing from that, but I'm going to try and figure something out. We're going to obviously have to do a little bit of hand carving in order to match. We try to do everything pretty much by hand. Obviously it keeps within the clock then, and things do look right then. I mean, you can tell if you use machinery and stuff to do certain things, you really can. Anyway, moving over to the movement, which is here. It's on it's on one of my 2 trusty stands, as you can see. Really handy, them stands. I mean, I'm really glad I built them. I mean, you know, they're a godsend and they're really steady, and you know, they're just brilliant. Anyway, we've got another clock on there. It's a Fusey. It's a clock it's like in a case with it's a weather station. Probably dated about 1900, I would think. Silver dial, quite a nice movement, quite a well-made movement. And anyway, here's the clock in question, and it was made by Edward Eustace of Liverpool. There's quite an interesting story with this clock. The family, actually, the original family, they actually were in a concentration camp, and they obviously got to the end of the war and they come over to live in Chester, I think was mentioned to me, and they had the jewellers in Chester. Eventually, obviously, you know, getting towards, I don't know, probably 1950s, 60s something, and this was the clock actually, I believe, in the shop. That's the sort of story. Now, it's a lovely regulator, really is well made. I mean, the movement is cased. I haven't even looked at the movement yet. I've just straightened a few things up to get it running, because one of the problems with the clock was it had a mercury pendulum on it. Now, this mercury, the old gentleman, he knocked the clock over and it literally went everywhere, and the health and hygiene people have been, I mean, his house has been absolutely, he actually suffered with mercury poisoning because he put the heating on, he didn't really understand, and then the mercury evaporated and he became affected, and then the home health come out, they were threw it down the sink, tried to mop it up and threw it down the sink, so then that caused United Utilities to get involved. I mean, it's just a complete disaster, to be honest with you, for the family. Really was a disaster. Anyway, getting back to our job, I've got a lead weight in there at the minute, and it seems to be doing okay. It seems to be keeping good time at the moment. Obviously, I'm taking bits of weight away and adding bits as I'm going along, and then I'm going to weigh the lead weight, and then obviously we'll go from there to rebuild that. But on this particular clock, the dial is going to get resilvered again because there's some mark in here. You know, there's been various bits and pieces. There's the odd thing what you can't see, but you know, that's going to done, and the movement, as I say, is going to have the things straightened up properly, what we've had to straighten up, change gut lines and, you know, and various things, and give the movements, you know, get it back to where it should be. But yeah, that's probably the most interesting clock at the moment. Really, really lovely regulator. Something I'd really have myself, really. But as I say, it's been in the family for a long time, and the people are absolutely desperate to get it sorted out. It's actually going to be getting done through insurance. So the insurance are footing the bill for this. The clock was separately insured, but unfortunately, I don't think they expected, because as I've said to you, there seems to have been a lot more damage to the house. I mean, God, I went to collect the clock, and I mean, the house is just, I mean, the patio has been taken out, and drains, all the pipe, because they threw the mercury down the sink, and God, it was just it's a total disaster. Total disaster. You wouldn't think, but you know, it is what it is, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, that fretwork, I'm sort of looking forward to having a go with that, to be honest with you. I mean, it is in pieces. We didn't make any promises with the fretwork, but we should be. I've got a few ideas of how I can get it together and make it substantial again. But you know, everything takes time, takes work, so I'll be getting on with that at some point. Hopefully the clock is going to behave itself. It does stop from time to time, to be honest with you, but you know, I just think you know, it needs to be really investigated a lot further. I think it has been serviced at some point. I mean, what we did find, if you look inside the case, I'd assume there would have been blocks here to put your seat board in, but what they've actually done is screwed through the side. I mean, I don't believe that's original, and the reason being is that the screws were Phillips type head screws, so they weren't. If you look at the back, see someone screwed a board on the back to support it, and the Phillips heads, we never do anything like that. I mean, everything we do, we try to keep within the look of the clock at least. I mean, you know, the screws, I mean, you know, they've got to be sort of, you know, slot head screws, and you know, if they're brass, they need to be brass, and we just do everything that way. We try to keep everything in period if we can. We know obviously the screws are brand new, but you know, we'll sort of may age them slightly, just to get the look right. There's also a thing with the lock on the door there, but I don't believe there was a key, because the only key they had was off the clock itself. Another interesting thing about this clock is it winds from the front there and from the back. So that's an interesting feature which I've not seen very often. And if you look at the hood, it actually has a hole in the back as well. So really nice clock, really nice clock. And obviously from my hometown of Liverpool, made in my hometown of Liverpool, as you can tell by my Beatles accent, shall we say, Beatles twang in my voice. But yeah, it's a really nice clock, and I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that. Obviously, we've got to sort of detail everything that's going on, and put it through to the insurance people and let them see what's going on. But it is what it is. you know, it's up to themselves really. As I say, I don't particularly get involved with the insurance companies. The customer gets involved with them, but you know, it is what it is. Doesn't matter to me whether, you know, they're telling me that it's insured for this week. We just do the job as it is. I mean, you know, whatever it is, we just do. We don't sort of put more on, less on, whatever. We just get on with it. That's us. We treat it like every other job. As I say, we've got to sort something out with the pendulum, so that's just a lump of lead in at the minute. So we're going to have to sort out something that's non-toxic. And as I say, the glass, I could leave that in, really. But to be honest with you, I want to reduce the weight of the glass because there's a break here. So we're going to repair that. And there's a break down the bottom. Obviously, the door completely snapped off. It's lucky the door didn't hit the gentleman, the weight of the glass. I mean, the glass is, honestly, it's a weight. But we want to reduce that weight. But also, obviously, bearing in mind, I mean, safety glass is a good way to go. So my glazer, I mean, he can sort things out so that the glass, you know, looks old and type of thing. You know, it's cost a bit of money, but it's going to cost a bit of money. But at the end of the day, you know, the job's got to be dead right for us. I mean, the customer's just saying, do the best you can, and they don't expect miracles. But you know, we're gonna do a good job. There's no doubt about that. Anyway, this is John from Clock Repairs Merseyside. So this is video number 1 of this set. So as I'll go through, obviously I'll work through things, and I'll try and make some videos if I can get the time to do so. Anyway, you have a great day. This is John from Clock Repairs Merseyside. Thank you.